And guys, in this next news story, a cold and callous man who decapitated and dismembered his lodger whilst high on drugs before boasting of eating has been found guilty of the murder. Benjamin Atkins was convicted by a jury at Winchester Crown Court of killing 49-year-old Simon Shotton after he cut up his body and dropped packages of his dismembered limbs along the Bournemouth seafront. He was pictured on CCTV footage carrying a saw. Atkins also burned Mr. Shotton's head and possessions in his back garden and hid his victim's arms at home, telling neighbours he had cremated a fox. His girlfriend was cleared of murder but convicted of perverting the course of justice, Debbie. Atkins had previously admitted perverting the course of justice, and both defendants had admitted. Murder investigation was first launched after Mr. Shotton's legs were found in packages on the Manor Steps Zig Zag footpath in the Boscombe area of the Dorset seaside town in August 2023. Opening the trial on the 11th of April, the prosecutor Paul Caven KC said Mr. Shotton was murdered in August last year. He was murdered, his body was dismembered, and various body parts were discovered in the Boscombe area of Bournemouth last summer. The facts around this case are grisly, he said. The jurors were told that there was a pedestrian who was working for an events company handing out leaflets on the Towers seafront on Saturday, the 26th of August, when she sought shelter from rainfall under some overhang branches. The worker was left startled when a large package landed in front of her with a heavy thud. The prosecutor said this woman initially noticed how the object smelt badly, as if something was rotting. She assumed the heavy object inside was a dead animal. But as she approached the bench for a second time, sometime later she thought the package looked as though it had been moved. She continued. She went up to the package and realized that the shape was that of a human foot, and some of it had become exposed. Those observations, combined with the appalling smell, made her realize she ought to report it to the police. The court heard police arrived at the beach in Manor Steps Zig Zag in Dorset, and after a thorough search of the area, they discovered another leg. The following day, a post-mortem examination was performed, and a pathologist noticed that the amputations were amateur enough that they had not been surgically removed. A sample of tissue revealed the human remains belonged to Mr. Shotton, who at the time of his death was squatting in a derelict bed and breakfast in Boscombe. Atkins admitted in court to killing Mr. Shotton at the couple's home and dismembering his body, but said he had acted out in self-defense. He told the court that Mr. Shotton had been staying for a short period in their house and basically provided them with drugs for rent. Atkins added that the lethal argument started over the victim demanding payment of a drugs debt. The prosecutor told the court that Atkins was recorded after his arrest by a secret microphone in a prison van asking Pereira if he admitted that he cooked Simon's head up and ate his cheeks, would it get me off the hook? He was also recorded as responding to a question by his co-defendant on whether he had any regrets by saying, "I'll look him straight in the eye and say, yeah, I'd do it again and again and again. If you let me go today, I'd find another one and do it again." He said, "Drug dealers and pushers, I'm going to kill them and I'm going to eat them up." The trial heard that after the killing, Mr. Shotton, Atkins and Pereira sold the victim's mobile phone in a cash creator shop which police used to track down the pair. Atkins then wanted to cut up Mr. Shotton's body using a hacksaw in the couple's garden under a makeshift tent. On September the 1st, police went to Pereira's home and discovered her partner of 18 months hiding behind a wheelbarrow at the side of the property. The couple was arrested, and the following day, after conducting a forensic search of their house, found the severed arms of Mr. Shotton in 2 black bin bags. The trial was then told a massive search operation conducted in the wider Bournemouth area located his torso in Boscombe's gardens. The prosecutor said a search officer followed what he described as the smell of death to a hedgerow where he discovered a substantial black suitcase. According to the prosecutor, there were flies on this suitcase as well as the stench of death, which was immediate and intense. Inside, they discovered the headless human torso. Following the arrest, neighbours were interviewed and jurors were told how an awful smell, like burning flesh, lingered in the air soon after the 18th of August. The prosecutor said he was burning Mr. Shotton's head, which was consigned to the flames. A neighbour described an awful smell which caused him to shout over the fence, "What the fuck are you burning?" In response, Atkins said he had found a dead fox and cremated it. The prosecutor said, as to the bonfires, no items of clothing or personal possessions belonging to Mr. Shotton have ever been found, and the prosecution say Mr. Shotton's belongings were consigned to the flames in the fire pit in the garden. Describing his actions to dismember the body, Atkins said in court, "I won't deny it, I used copious amounts of various drugs. I pulled his body into the garden, covered him up. Later in the evening, when Debs was asleep, I went into the garden and I cut him up. I wouldn't have done it if I was under the influence. I wouldn't have cut him up. I was scared, I was traumatized, I was panicked, I was under extreme stress as well as under the influence. What I've done was truly awful. It's horrendous what I've done, and I deserve to be punished for what I've done because I'll do it again and again. However, I am sorry to his family. I'm sorry to my family. It's difficult for me to be remorseful to a man who was trying to kill me in my own house. The judge adjourned the case for sentencing to take place on the 26th of July and remanded both defendants in custody until then. Thanking the Jew, she told him, "We gave you a terrible job and you've risen to the challenge absolutely magnificently. You have had to sit through some of the most jaw-dropping evidence that anyone could hear to hear of Mr. Shotton's death and what happened to his body afterwards." The senior Crown prosecutor, Kirsty Gordon, said this was a truly disturbing case which shocked the residents of Bournemouth and its surrounding towns. Atkins and Pereira's cruelty and lack of humanity is laid bare after Mr. Shotton was murdered by Atkins in cold blood over a minor dispute. They robbed him of her dignity and proper burial. We worked closely with Dorset police, whose meticulous investigation worked greatly aided our ability to deliver swift justice in an incredibly complex case. Once again, I just want to say rest in peace to the victim. My condolences go out to his family. And guys, in this next news story, following an investigation by Thames Valley Police, a woman has been jailed for drugs offences in Reading. Holly Jones was sentenced to 2 years and 6 months in prison and ordered to forfeit drugs, a mobile phone and cash at Reading Crown Court. At the same hearing, Jones pleaded guilty to counts of possession with intent to supply controlled drugs of Class A, basically crack. On the 23rd of August 2021, officers stopped an Audi A3 in Reading which Jones was driving. She was seen to put something down her trousers and subjected to a search under the Misuse of Drugs Act. Around 70 wraps of Class A drugs was found on Jones, with a value in a region of £1,400. Jones was arrested the same day and later charged on the 9th of January. Investigating Officer PC James Dunwell, based at Reading Police Station, said, "We will proactively target and prosecute offenders in our activity will be both visible and covert, aimed at disrupting and pursuing offenders involved in the supply of drugs. We will not tolerate this in the Thames Valley Police District." So guys, that's a new story coming in from Reading Ways. So guys, there's a number of stories coming out from the streets of the UK. Once again, if you already haven't done so, please subscribe to the channel. Please give this video a little like, as it will help the algorithms and promote it for other people to view as well. Once a big respect going out to each and every one of you. It's your boy GT. Keep it locked, keep it real.